Action.
Hello and welcome to the Claret and Blue podcast Q&A. Back in Poddymoor Heath again. I'm joined by Mat Kendrick. How's things, mate? All right?
I'm all right. Yeah, is that a new plant?
No, that was there last time.
Oh, right.
You were sat here, weren't you? So it's behind you.
It was just creeping over me. Yeah, it's got a
nice little vibe, isn't it?
got a botanical garden feel to it now, hasn't it? And lots of Villa merch and memorabilia. So it's very homely, Daniel. So,
yeah, good. Yeah, we're getting there. We're going to dive straight into the questions today for the Q&A. Obviously, you and I did the post-match for Chelsea. Ordinarily, if this was John, I'd say, oh, what were your thoughts on it? But we've done that, so we're going to go straight into it. First one, AVFC Dublin Lions. How did you become a member of BAPS?
Right, do we need to provide a bit of context
I think so.
about BAPS? I think I was slagging off Arne Slot the other day for his dismissive, you only got your fireworks out for Liverpool comments. And for some reason I've made up this kind of acronym or whatever.
Previously like bald people, but then he
I'm a big advocate for bald people because I don't want to dwell on this too much because this was supposed to be 30 seconds at the start of it, but I'm a bit fed up of being bald now. When I first was bald... when I was born, when I first kind of shaved it all off 2 or 3 years ago, maybe even more, it was like the novelty. So it was like a new hairstyle. Yeah. Now you can't have a new hairstyle.
Is that actually a thing? Like,
you just stuck with it for life now. And I speak to my wife, and she's giving me a very firm no. Should I experiment with hats?
What kind of hats? Like beanies and flat caps and stuff?
I'm not a fan of the Peaky Blinders thing and stuff like that. So, I don't know, I could have like a little jaunty fedora or something like that.
Why not?
But anyway.
I thought you were going to say talk with the idea of a hair transplant. I think the ship sailed for that.
No, I'm not doing with that. Anyway, so I'm normally a big advocate for us fellow baldies. BAPS is bald and proud. Okay. So I think Arne Slot and Anthony Taylor, they're off the list. Okay. So how do you become a member of it? I mean,
I'll be there soon. I reckon I'll be there soon.
I think we'll induct you into the BAPS Hall of Fame
process
soon. I think just lose your hair really.
Yeah,
stress.
And be proud about it and not ashamed of it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Wayne says, I'd like to know your predicted run-in results for the remaining games. Now, spoiler alert, we're not going to do this now. Wayne's listed all the Premier League games with his predictions on win, draw, lose. He's only got us losing one game, which I think is a bit optimistic.
Which is that game out of interest?
Man City away.
Right, okay. It's probably the only one we'll win.
And it's put us on to 63 points, and he says, will that be enough? Now, we tend to do this kind of content every year when there's about 10 games left or 8 games left. We predict the run-in, so we will do that from around Southampton, maybe the start of April, something like that. I think it's a bit too early to be predicting specific games with so many left. But are you kind of on the side of let's just enjoy the ride and see what happens, or are you we need 25 points, where are we going to get them?
I don't think we'd ever get the points the way we predicted them. I think we'd probably go and win a game that we think we'd lose and that kind of thing. How many games you got left, Dan?
11,
so 33 points up for grabs. I'll probably back us to get 20 of those. 20 points from 33. What's that? How many wins is that? Probably
6 or 7.
Yeah, or maybe 5 wins and 5 draws or something like that. Well, that would be only losing one like way.
So what that 20? So that puts us to 62. Wayne's got us on 63, so you've got us around the same level. He has got a lot of draws in his running, by the way. He's got 4. I don't know whether there's enough. We'll find out as we get nearer to it. I think if you're taking points off the teams around you, and games like Newcastle Forest yesterday, if that ended 4-4, that would have been a great result for Villa. So scenarios like that where they drop points, we gain them, and we're going to have to beat them. We have to beat Forest, Newcastle. Probably, I'm not saying we have to beat Man City because it's away, but if it's between us and them and winner takes all, we've got to go and do the job. So I don't know what the points total required will be. This is for 5th place, obviously. I assume Wayne is suggesting in Champions League. But I just think if we kind of go about our business and play in the way we did in the second half against Chelsea, we'll get hopefully enough points.
Yeah, if we play well.
Yeah, if we play well, we'll win.
If we play at our best in every single game. How many points did we get last season? You remember?
68, I think, off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't think we'll achieve that again.
When is it even mathematically possible?
I think so, yeah.
42 and there's 33 available.
Oh, no, it's not.
Oh, no, that's 75.
70, yeah.
God, maths not our strong point. Right, let's move on. We'll come back to that later in the season. David says, tough one this. If you could only sign one of Rashford or Asensio, which one are you picking? That's tough, isn't it? Obviously, coming off the back of them both contributing, Rashford with the 2 assists, Asensio with the 2 goals.
I don't think we will sign both of them.
Do you not?
No, I don't think we will do. I don't know.
Is that by Villa's choice or by them not wanting to be here?
I think it's win-win for Villa in the sense that if they use it as an audition and a springboard, then it means that they've done well, and it means that they've helped Villa achieve our objectives this season, which are hopefully winning something and hopefully qualifying for Europe, ideally, the top competition in Europe. But I don't know. Go on, let me process it, and you give me your answer, and then I'll copy it if I agree.
Okay, all right. Well, obviously Rashford has the buy option of 40 million. Rashford's the younger of the two. He obviously wants out of Man United. When we signed Asensio on the initial loan, there was talk that PSG would be willing to extend it for next season as well, and his contract runs out at the end of next summer. So as a kind of like pathway to sign somebody, extending the loan and then getting them on a free, like that makes sense more so than paying the cash for Rashford. Obviously, wages for both will be an issue for a permanent transfer for either. So, from a business point of view or whatever, like to get those deals done, and that brings us on to the next question in a sec, do you have to make sacrifices elsewhere? If they both want to be here and Villa have achieved whatever and think that they're going to make the squad better, then yeah, absolutely, I'd like to have them both. I think if you could only pick one, I probably would go for Rashford, I think.
I'd almost turn it on its head and say, what have we got in those positions currently if we don't sign either of them? My big concern about the Asensio thing, and this is not me, he's a brilliant player, and the fact that Villa can even entertain the idea of getting players like that is a massive endorsement of the journey we've been on. But Morgan Rogers, for me, is better
in the same position.
In that 10. And it's like, do we stunt Morgan Rogers' growth if we're trying to accommodate him around him? Whereas I think you could make a strong argument to say Rashford is better in that position than Jacob Ramsey.
Yeah.
But I think you could move Jacob Ramsey to play any of your midfield positions, probably a deeper lying midfield position potentially, to give him the capacity to run from deep without ruining Jacob Ramsey.
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting one. So,
do you think Rodgers, we are going to talk about Rodgers in a sec, so we're kind of answering questions before we get to him, but could he adapt and learn to play off the right still as a young player that Asensio is your man at 10? Rashford, Rodgers at the moment, lots of R's, isn't there? Rodgers at the moment not as effective on the right, but could learn to play that position and that become his role.
It limits him a little bit playing out wide. I don't think he likes it. You can see that his tendency is to drift inside anyway.
Yeah.
I think the beauty of Rodgers, and when we've seen him at his best, has been kind of on the half turn and being able to go in either direction if he's needed to. And I think when you're on the wing, you're a bit more limited to do that. If you go too far to the right, you're going to find yourself in the Doug Ellis stand, aren't you? Depending which way you're attacking. So I probably would, and went the roundabout way of getting there, but I probably would say Rashford as well for those reasons.
Perfect segue then from BZP. If we do sign Marcus Rashford permanently and he wants to join and PSR requires us to sell first, do you sacrifice Ramsey to facilitate the move?
It's really difficult because I think sentiment plays a real big part in it as well. And, I've said this a lot, but you don't often get a homegrown hero who comes in and kind of dominates in a way, I suppose. And lucky with Jack Grealish doing it, lucky that Jacob Ramsey has kind of taken up the mantle and done it. I wouldn't want to.
No.
But then again, you're going to say, well, who would go instead? And I didn't want Douglas Luiz to go. And, I'm like a spoiled brat, to be honest. I want all the nice, shiny new things.
But it's the frustration with the rules, isn't it? We've said time and time again, you shouldn't qualify for the Champions League and have to sell players. You shouldn't qualify for the Europa League and win the FA Cup, let's say Villa do, and then go, right, who do we sell then? Like that, you should keep your players and make it better. You should be adding Rashford, not thinking, okay, well, we can sign him, but we have to sell one of our homegrown talents. It's so tough, isn't it? There's a question later on from David who said, Do you think Villa planned to break the UEFA salary rules when bringing in Rashford and Asensio? Considering the benefits of what they can do will outweigh the potential fine they will get for breaking the salary ratio rules. Now, I don't think Villa will intentionally have gone to break the rules. I think selling Diaby and Luiz and everyone else and the deals we did in the summer was to make sure we were in line with them. Players become available in the winter window to make us better on massive money, and we're kind of back to where we were again in terms of being over that limit. If it is just a fine and you pay it and you crack on, I don't really care, to be honest. If it's that you don't make improvements and the next stage is a transfer ban or expelled from UEFA competition or something, then yeah, obviously it's a problem you have to deal with. But there is a point where you've got to bring that wage bill down, and signing Asensio and Rashford on massive money, it's not the answer, is it? So I don't like that we're in this position of having to sell somebody, but it seems that this summer again, somebody will have to leave, and if that's Ramsey or Konsa or Watkins or whoever, that's not nice, is it? That's not a position we want to be in. I don't think you want to let go of any of our players.
No, I mean, I don't know whether Villa, like you said, I don't know whether Villa would break laws deliberately. You probably need to get our football finance guru, Dave Powell, to look into it more deeply. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because Villa are doing... I'd be interested to see what kind of money Villa are making from the Black Sabbath thing, the Kendrick Lamar gig and that kind of thing. Because Villa are actually, and you know, we have a little joke about Chris Heck, don't we?
If you're watching, mate.
Kind of, yeah, if he's watching, sitting there counting his big piles of money. Like, what was it? Oh, God, what was it? DuckTales, when he dives into that. Do you remember DuckTales?
Nah.
The cartoon when he dives into a pool full of full of shiny coins. I imagine Chris Heck-tails. Where was I going with this? But to be fair to Villa, you know, they are trying to maximise every revenue opportunity, and you know, miserly old men like me are not happy about it when it's at my expense. But so I think Villa will know their way around those rules better than most, and I actually think it doesn't hurt Villa to, I wouldn't say make a mockery of the rules, but so many other clubs have turned a blind eye to it or found a loophole around it that, you know, if Villa can do that.
We're just playing the game, aren't we, basically?
Well, yeah.
If you're over I don't know how it works, but if you're over the limit by X%, that you've got a fine of 50,000 or something, in the grand scheme of things, that's Marcus Rashford's wage for a day or whatever. Like, it just doesn't matter, does it? You know, I don't like us to be going against that, but if Newcastle or Man City were doing it, we'd be going, why don't we just do that? Why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do it? So, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like talking about it either. It's not football, is it? Talking about the bean counting side of it. It's
not, but it has become a real kind of fascinating area for football fans now, because it's so murky and complicated, and ultimately, for all your abbreviations and all your different rules and that, football fans want to know, how much money have we got to spend on making our squad better, transfer fees and wages, and how much is it going to hit me in the back pocket when I've got to try and watch my team as often as I can? And that's why it matters. There's a lot of small print and a lot of clauses, etc., around the edges, but that's why it matters. I don't know where I'm going with this.
No, that's all right. I'm happy to move on. We spoke about Rodgers very briefly. David asks a different one, I think. Are we too reliant on Rodgers? He starts most games and plays more minutes than anyone. Now we have the likes of Asensio. Is it time for Emery to give him a rest, or is he too important? Now, I think specifically for where we are doing this podcast today, I think he gets a week's rest after Palace, and he misses Cardiff and plays the Champions League game. Now, a week's rest is massive, isn't it? And he probably needs more than that. But in where we are at the moment with the amount of games, to get a week off is, you know, some kind of luxury that some clubs, we haven't been able to have afforded at the moment. We should have had it with not playing the Champions League, with the Liverpool game. You know, kind of spoke before a little bit about, if you want to be in these competitions, you're going to play a lot of games. So you're kind of complaining about something that you're trying to get to. It seems a little bit counterintuitive. However, Rodgers does need a rest. He does look tired. But I don't think we're at a position where, even though however good Asensio is, Rodgers is just really important. I think he has to play if he's fit.
It should be an either or now rather than a both. with Asensio and Rodgers. He's decided that Emery's decided that's the case with Rashford and Ramsey. That's now the case, I think, with Marlon and Bailey. You're not going to play those two in there, so I'm not sure why you're playing the combination. Listen, it worked. We won the game on Saturday, so who am I to question Emery? But I do think
how can you get away with not playing one of them though?
Rodgers is your main man, but he's your main man 2 games out of 3 because he's worn out. So maybe nobody's undroppable, are they? And imagine having a Rodgers on the bench for the last half an hour of a game. So I think he can be bold enough to drop Rodgers.
Is that how you would do it, by the way, that he plays Palace and Bruges and he misses Cardiff? Or does he play all 3?
I've not really got a horses for courses opinion on it, to be honest. I think he needs a rest at some stage, and we were in a better position to give him a rest now.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, I think Rodgers playing anywhere other than a kind of marauding 10, I don't think you're getting the most out of him.
Yeah.
So you could rest him. If he's playing off the right, you've got Bailey, you've got Marlon. Yeah. So I think he needs a rest, but I think Palace away, Cardiff in the FA Cup and Bruges in the Champions League, he'd probably be laughed out of town here, but I think they're all as important as each other.
Yeah, no,
so I wouldn't say that
for different reasons.
You go super strong in all of them.
Yeah, and then we got Brentford in the league, and then Bruges again. Then they've all got a 3-week break, so kind of flog them till then, and then let the time off is the ruthless way to go for it. Somebody who won't be able to be flogged throughout that because of his injury record of late is Tyrone Mings. 3 questions about him in different manners. We'll start with Adrian. Can we get a Tyrone Mings tifo for the home league game against Bruges? Home Champions League game, against Bruges. I don't know. What do you think? I'm not massively keen on that.
You're probably asking the wrong people because I'm not sure I'll be able to make one.
Oh, well, I mean, we wouldn't be involved in the process, no. I don't know.
If I made a tifo, a bit like, it'd be one of them ones that...
Like a tinfoil FA Cup.
Yeah. We've got a video somewhere, the tinfoil FA Cup. We'll have to dig that back.
That was before my time, I think.
It was, yeah.
The good old days.
We're just dabbling with video then. I think we did it on Cinefilm, I think.
Now look at us.
Why were you a bit cringy with that?
I don't know. Cause it's because of the handball thing, isn't it, of the previous game. I mean, first of all, let's see what happens in the away leg before we're getting Tyrone Mings up in the whole end. I don't know. I just think it's a little bit tin pot, that.
I think a Tyrone Mings tifo is definitely in order. I don't think it necessarily needs to be for that game. I think it probably is a bit too contrived to do it for that game.
What's he going to be doing? Got massive hands or something?
Well, yeah, I mean, it might be that Martinez kicks the ball out to the tifo rather than Tyrone. So I definitely think he needs to be honoured in some way. But I don't know whether... he probably doesn't want too much reminding.
Well,
of that.
Yeah, I agree on that point as well. Like, let's not talk about it. Let's forget that happened. Let's deal with the away leg first. And if we're in a position to be, I don't say gloating because that's the wrong word, but if let's say we lost the first leg 3-0 and then a Tyrone Mings tifo comes down in the second leg, you'd be going, get that up.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need that at the moment. Anyway, let's move on to a different one from Henry. He says, Mings, club legend, but will he be off in the summer? Looks a liability and injury prone currently, brackets and age. Now, we spoke about this a little bit, didn't we, on the post-match, that I was kind of saying, he's done. I don't want that to be the case. A comment on the post-match said something like, if you can manage Tyrone Mings, if we've got a fit squad and he plays once a week or once every 10 days, he's absolutely got to roll with us for the next couple of years. And I do agree with that. I think at the moment, because no one else is there, and you're playing him all the time, I think we're at the point of I don't know whether we're going to get that luxury to manage him nicely next season. I feel like we might be doing too much damage in the here and now for him and his body. And that's purely speculation. I don't know anything. We haven't heard anything from the club that he's going through the mill or whatever, but he's clearly struggling. So I think, will he be off in the summer? I won't be surprised.
It's all about levels, isn't it? I think I don't know whether it was on that question or certainly saw on social media saying that it's not just been 3 games, has he? I know Chelsea aren't the force that they were, but Neto giving you the run around, you're not going to... There's been no chance to play his way back in. He's had to be a million miles an hour from straight away, and if he leaves Villa, he's probably leaving Villa. Well, he's leaving Villa for a lesser place. So maybe that is the natural thing. I don't think he's... again, I don't know the ins and outs of his kind of medical record and stuff, but I don't think he's ready to retire.
No.
Do we know what... I'm putting you on the spot here. Do we know what his contract situation is?
I think it expires next summer, I think.
Right, okay.
Off the top of my head.
Well, maybe that is a factor. Maybe if Villa think that they can get some money back, get him off the wage bill and get some money back. It's like almost your favourite action figure as a kid. You don't want to see it go.
Yeah.
But if you've played with it so much that you've twisted the legs backwards and the head's falling off, then
and you've grown up during that time as well.
Yeah, and you can take it to the charity shop and give it to somebody who would still play with it and have fun with it, then great. But it's just an emotional thing as well.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be too sentimental because I think he's more than just the history that he's got with Villa. I still think he's a great footballer and a great leader and a great example. So I think the best case scenario would be if we can get through this period of games, we can get... Which defenders have we got now?
Disassi will be back for Tuesday, won't he? Because he obviously not against Chelsea.
Yeah,
he'll miss Friday because of being cup tied.
Yeah,
he obviously is in the Champions League squad, so he'll be back, and playing for the rest of the season. Yeah. Touch wood, quick. Pau Torres was back or going to be back in training very soon. He was obviously doing some stuff in the gym, wasn't he, on Instagram or whatever? And I think Emery said he wasn't that far away, so. Whether he's back this side of this international break or whether he's back fully fit in April, that's a few more games. Const's obviously back now as well. So we have got options, but still not very many. I mean, I would expect it to be Const and Disassi on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think the sweet spot for me will be if we can get through the rest of this season and Emery does still trust him and Mings still trusts his body enough for him to be available.
Yeah.
And, you probably are thinking that Mings becomes a squad player rather than a starter.
Yeah.
Now that's going to be an interesting test of his kind of mental character as well, I think, because having beaten the injuries that he has, or been trying to beat the injuries that he's had, he's been used to being the main man and a regular starter. That wobble when Gerrard didn't play him for the start of the season, but he soon got back in.
Yeah.
And when he's been fit, invariably he's played, hasn't he?
Pretty much,
depending on the kind of combination. So I think the sweet spot for me would be that he does stay around and he's still got a part to play, but how much of that is heart versus head?
And also, how much does he want it in the sense of if his contract does expire next summer, which I think it does he deal with 1 year of not being the starting choice but playing potentially in the Europa League or the cup competitions or whatever, seeing out one big hurrah with Villa, and then in the summer at 33 or whatever I do move on and play a couple of years for Everton or whatever it is, or does he think, no, I've got a year left, I'm going to go and play now because time's ticking? And Villa side of things, they might think, well, we can get, I don't know, I was about to pluck a figure out the air then. I don't know, what is he? What would he be worth? 7 to 10 million or something?
I thought so now, yeah. I mean,
Thiago Carlos
30, 31?
Yeah, Carlos went for 8 million-ish, didn't he? So that same kind of figure potentially.
I think the thing with me is, and I know football and certainly Aston Villa don't always do Hollywood endings, but if you think of the players who have been there and come through, some of them in the Championship like McGinn and Mings, some of them very early in our Premier League adventure like Konza, Watkins, etc. Don't know whether to say etc. There's probably not that many.
Cash, Martinez.
Yeah, they need a trophy. They need something tangible to endorse it, really. I know Champions League qualification is that in a sense, but yeah, if Mings is to leave, then let's hope he's involved in an historic FA Cup Champions League double.
Henry said Mings was a club legend. Ian says, I think club legend is too often used. What makes a player a club legend? I feel like we might have done this at some point on the podcast, like the icon, hero, legend kind of hierarchy. What order is that, and what makes individuals fall into different categories? We spoke about Watkins potentially being a legend if he breaks the top scorer. McGinn maybe being a Villa legend for his appearances made, and again, what legacy comes when he leaves. what is there like a tick box list of you've got to have won a trophy, 200 plus games, 50 plus goals? What is it for you?
I think there probably is a tick box or a Venn diagram with half a dozen things, and I don't think you have to get all of them.
No.
I think you need to get 5 out of 6 or 4 out of 6. So to me, it is things like a trophy. It's probably...
That means there's no Villa legends from the last 30 years.
No, I said you had to get 4 out of the 6. So bear with me.
Okay.
A trophy. I think there's got to be a kind of length of service type thing in there. I think there's got to be almost like a Villa in your DNA kind of thing. I'll probably explain that a little bit better in a minute. What else does there need to be?
I'd say that's about it, I think.
Yeah, but I need to get up to 6 so I can have 4 of the 6.
I did think you might go a bit too big with 4 out of 6. I think that's probably about it, depending on positions, because you wouldn't have goals for a defender.
I think personality's one as well.
Yeah, kind of their character and what do they get it? Do they buy into the...
that might fall into the Villa in your DNA type thing as well. But yeah, so for example, I think I'm getting Claret and blue tinted spectacles, nostalgia based, but I think that the team who did win our last trophy are legends in my mind, because I saw them win that trophy and that's our last trophy.
Yeah.
But then again, I've got a massive bias towards like David Platt, and people would say, well, he never won a trophy. He's here for a decent amount of time. He never won a trophy. Has he got Villa in his DNA because he refuses to acknowledge Villa? So does he break the rules that I've just set when he's one of my ultimate legends?
So do you reckon there's a 5th or 4th, however many it was, of like to you as well?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's very personal.
Yeah. So I can't imagine many people will be watching this going, David Platt was a Villa legend, but to you, he would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you asked me. So.
No, exactly, yeah. And I think it's of your era as well. Maybe there'll be ones of your childhood, like a Martin Larsson for me would be like, I don't know whether I would say as a legend, but like I would have him up in that kind of status of I really, really, really liked him. Whereas others who saw a McGrath or whoever would be like, well, Larsson, he was good, but he weren't that. But that was my kind of level of getting into Villa. So I think that plays a part as well.
But I think, legend can extend to people off the pitch as well. Talk about Super Mick Dale, who's not been very well actually lately. So a big shout out to Super Mick Dale. So who would you class as your legends then? 'Cause obviously a slightly different generation to me.
I'd have Barry in there. I think he'd be in a lot of people's
Barry from EastEnders.
We're going to do it anyway. Because longevity is one, isn't it? Kept him for a long time. But then some people might think the way he left and where he went to, does that kind of hinder it as well?
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, you kind of throw me a little bit because I've never really thought about, if we were doing this now, you've got to offer your 5 or 6. I think I'd really struggle to pick some.
I get legend confused with my favourite player.
Yeah.
As well.
I think legend is reserved for the very, very best. Like, some people will think somebody like Grealish is a legend, but I know I can already we don't have an audience here, but I can already hear people going, oh, boo, no way. Like, and I'm not saying he is for me, by the way, but I think he would be for some. I don't know. I think there is some kind of like favourite player thing does overlap it.
Yeah.
Like I would have somebody like McGinn in there, but does he have to win a trophy by the time he leaves Villa to be cemented with actual legend status? Like if Villa do a Hall of Fame, is John McGinn in there now, or does he have to do more to be in it? I don't know.
I think you can say with a degree of certainty that the 82 lads absolutely are.
Yeah. I think anyone who wins a trophy, unless you're like a very minor bit part and you didn't do anything, if you're in like the squad that played most of the games in winning a trophy, I think you're kind of automatically straight in there.
But the team that won the league for Villa, first time in black and white,
I know.
They're legends, but they're
couldn't name any.
They're legends by legend rather than because I don't know. I think it's a really interesting threshold. I'll be interested to see in the comments what people, if we do think it's this tick list, what are the, let's say half a dozen, what's the half a dozen criteria that gets you in, and then we can, I love a spreadsheet and stuff like that, so
a bit of admin, don't you?
We can get working on that.
I do think, as a kind of wider conversation, we've touched on this for a couple of minutes, this probably is a full-length conversation. Get John in here, we'll do like a list of the top 10 or whatever, get some suggestions from comments as well, so certainly get involved with that. flipping it a little bit from Rob, but also being a little bit generic still. What's your funniest Villa-related memory?
I've scribbled a few of these down on my phone.
I saw this on Twitter and I added it to the list, and I was like, honestly, this is so tough.
On the way in, I think I've got a handful of them rather than a funniest one. So
I can only think of like podcasty stuff rather than like. I mean, there will absolutely be times I've been at a match and there's been a funny chant or something that's made me like actually laugh, but I couldn't think to tell you that now specifically.
I don't know, it's silly little things in it, like the Ash Priest Jurgen Klopp thing is still. I mean, I wasn't there, but I was close enough to it by knowing Ash to think that's brilliant.
Messaging in the WhatsApp after.
So when your mate goes viral for garbling something and sorry, what? I like that. I was thinking, I like it when your rivals slip up. So the Ronnie Rosenthal miss,
the Darwin Núñez miss.
The Darwin Núñez miss, yeah. I wasn't even at the game, but do you remember the David Dunn Rabona?
I wouldn't have been there, but I know what you were on about.
So it's things like that, because kind of Blues had the edge over us in their early return to the Premier League. It's little moments like that. There's something.
There'll be bits like the kind of party atmospheres on final days, like the inflatables in the whole end or away days that you see. I remember the traffic cones and stuff at an away game a couple of years ago. Stuff like that is, I would say, was funny, but again, I wasn't there, so it's kind of like funny by extension, isn't it?
There was one thing that made me laugh once in a press conference, and I've probably told you this story before, but it's the circumstances that led to it weren't funny at all, because Villa fans hated Harry Redknapp, and he came with Portsmouth a while ago, and somebody threw a 50p coin, and it was aiming it at Redknapp, and it hit the linesman.
For a second I thought you meant in the presser.
No. Mate, you've not been hanging around with too many journalists, mate, if you think we're going to be throwing 50p away. Anyway, we're trying to work out which linesman it was, and I think they got like the linesman's names on the back of the programme.
Yeah.
And I asked him, one of the linesmen was called Phil Sharp. I said, was it Phil Sharp? And he said, yeah, I should imagine it did feel sharp. He's a 50p piece, whacking him in the head. And I was a bit like apologetic. But it was like, it was quite amusing.
That's good.
The other time, another Redknapp one in the press box, in the press conference after the end, and I think he was back with as Blues manager then, and you'll have to beat me out in this. You have to censor this in a minute. But
get the clapperboard ready.
I think it was it the one when Gabby scored?
It must be, yeah.
I think Gabby scored, and I
think Redknapp only had one Villa game as Blues boss at home.
And he's had a dig at Gabby saying, he saved his one goal or whatever. And then he clocked Gary Shaw, because Gary was there doing some stuff with Press Association, I think. He clocked Gary Shaw, like, sitting at the back, like, as we've said before, was like Mr. Modest Gary Shaw, so he was sitting out of harm's way. And Redknapp clocked Gary Shaw and he said, there's a proper player. And it was like, it was brilliant. You know, Gaz was buzzing at it. Yeah, thanks. Cheers, Harry.
I wish I didn't have to bleep that. That was a great accent as well.
But yeah, and the only one final thing, and again, this is my kind of greatest hits. I've told this story before.
Oh, man, I'm glad you've got some answers, because I don't have anything.
No, it's fine. Do you remember the story I told about Houllier? When he was...
so he bumped into you or something?
Yeah, so basically the press officer, Brian Dugan, who we had a fractious relationship, shall we say.
No. Doesn't sound like you.
Yeah, there's a pattern emerging here. So he grabbed me in the press lounge and said, the manager's not happy with you. He wants a word with you after the game. I'm like, oh, God, what have I done? I said, what's the matter, Brian? He said, it's something you did. You interviewed him about...
Go for right back 5 out of 10, was it?
Yeah, that was it, yeah. You interviewed him about... It was a right back. And a left back, you interviewed him, and he said something about Habib Beye and Stephen Warnock, and he wasn't happy with the way you did it. I said, well, there were his quotes. Anyway, so after the game, I was wandering down the steps, and I said, he'd done his press conference, and I followed him out of the press conference room. I said, Gerard, Brian says you're unhappy with what I wrote about Habib Beye and Stephen Warnock. And he touched my arm gently, and he said, I won't do the French accent. he said, don't worry about him, Matt. They're a pair of anyway. So maybe just manager swearing. Maybe that's just But that was like, because I was really...
I think we told that at a live show once. I think we were obviously allowed to swear to the people in the room.
Right, okay. So it's just little bits of nonsense like that.
I like it. All right. We are going to do a little bit of nonsense at the end, but one more football-related question before we wrap up from DJ. It says, if we get more back fit, Torres, Kamara, etc., do you think we have a chance to have a good run-in at the end of the season? It seems up top we are blessed and just need a couple of first-teamers at the back to be fit. And somebody else asked, and I've not written their name down, if every defender was fit, who's our best defensive lineup at the moment? So I think, first of all, yes, get some injuries back and we're in a good place. Put a bit of a run together, kind of goes without saying. You've got to beat the sides around you, as we said earlier. Just to end, though, because we're running out of time a little bit, what's our best back line if everyone's available? So you're talking Cash and Garcia at right back, Dean and Matson at left back, Mings and Torres for left side, Konsa Disasi for right side.
Yeah, and Olsen Martinez, I suppose, as well in goal. So.
Yeah, that's a talking point.
I'll go with that one. Martinez in goal.
It's tough, isn't it? I know there'll be the kind of caveats of, well, if we're playing this kind of team, we're playing this kind of way, but if you're trying to pick a best 11.
I'll tell you what, this is... Let's go left to right. I think Luca Dean is just so...
Yeah. Reliable, dependable.
Yeah, he just responds well to competition as well. He just seems to reinvent himself.
He's as much of a shoe-in as Martinez for me at the moment.
Yeah, and I can be his kind of worst critic sometimes in terms of I don't think he's bold enough, but maybe that's the way he's coached. Maybe he's told to protect the ball a little bit better rather than bombing onto the touchline, to the byline. Just when he does get that, some of his deliveries can be brilliant. And again, probably recency bias that he's done one that Watkins has nodded in not too long ago. I'd have him on the left.
Do you reckon Matty Cash is left-footed, by the way?
Oh, honestly,
some of his balls on his left foot seem better than his right.
Maybe that's what we do. Maybe we have Matty Cash on there.
Maybe they only train left-sided balls in training.
Playing left back. So Martinez in goal. Luca Dean left back. Right back, I don't know. Have we seen enough of Garcia to say that he deserves to house Cash yet?
Yeah, I don't know whether disrespectful is the right word, but I think it's a little bit disrespectful to Cash to kind of say that Garcia is our best right back after 3 or 4 games. He looks bright, don't get me wrong, it looks like a great bit of business as well, that even if he doesn't turn out amazing for Villa, we're going to make a profit on him from a business perspective. So it looks like a really good bit of business, and he's looked bright in every game he's played. He had the first half, didn't he, against Wolves, but I thought he looked okay during that and has played really well since. So I think if you were picking a side for next weekend, you'd go Garcia, but to kind of write off everything Cash has offered us for the last 4 seasons or something, like, I'm not his biggest fan and I think he can be improved upon. Well, I think if you're picking a team for now, I've just said I played Garcia at the weekend, but I think if you're picking a best 11 of what we've seen more of at the moment, I think Cash still just gets it, unless you're going to say like, Konsa right back and all that kind of stuff. This is a really difficult one, because if we do say that, then you kind of back yourself into a corner and say that Konsa has definitely got to start over Disasi, where he probably has, to be honest. But I actually think I'd be quite excited about seeing a back four that had Cash right back, Dean left back, Disasi and Torres. Yeah. I'd like to see what that looks like. But is that being similarly dismissive of Konsa, who's been pretty much like a Rolls Royce for 4 or 5 years now, and Mings, who, if we're saying everybody available and fit, is that being harsh? I just like the kind of big man, little man kind of combination, an elegant footballer and alongside a really strong powerhouse of a defender. And that's not to dismiss the footballing qualities of your powerhouse defender as well, or even the kind of physical qualities of your elegant footballer. So I think that would be quite interesting. Yeah, I think potential back four of Konsa being the right back, dropping into a back three of Disasi and Torres is potentially the strongest option. But again, it's difficult. There's definitely options there, and I think that answer looks different potentially in a year's time as well. Maybe Matson has a great second season with Villa, and Garcia, they're the 2 obvious choices at full back as well. So let us know in the comments on that one as well. Just to end on a bit of nonsense, a couple of food-related ones.
My stomach's starting.
I'm starving. I really hope it's not being picked up on the mic.
I've got a pot of yogurt and muesli that I'm just waiting to crack into.
I've had breakfast and it's, I can definitely feel it. Connor, first of all, says, how do I say this? Connor asked me, how did you and John have a discussion over fish and chips and not have Mat Kendrick's input? Are you an orange chip man?
I wouldn't have orange chips with fish and chips.
Would you not?
If I was having a bag of chips, I'd prefer a bag of orange chips over a bag of normal chips, if you like. But
bit too much batter going on if you got both at the same time.
I just think you're stealing the show from the cod, aren't you? In a cod and chips combo, the cod is your big man.
Yeah, is your showpiece.
And your chips, your elegant.
Your cod piece.
I don't know. Don't try and get me onto cod piece.
What if you had the battered chips and something like a sausage?
I could probably have steak and kidney pie and battered. But I think battered chips would be a big enough meal in its own right.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. I mean, I always regret. I said this to John. I always regret it afterwards. Sounds like a great idea. You eat half of it and go, I'm so fat. What am I doing? There's a couple of comments.
I'm eating takeaways too much. You can probably tell. I'm eating takeaways too much. You know when you don't enjoy a takeaway. Do you know what I mean? It should be a rare treat, shouldn't it?
The novelty's worn off, like being bald.
Yeah, it should be a rare treat.
Start experimenting with cooking.
Oh yeah, I'm just going to have homegrown food out of my fedora. That's what I'm going to have.
Oh, what a 2025 you got for you. There's a couple of comments, again, not from around the area, I suppose, saying, what are orange chips? Do you want to just quickly go over that, like very quickly?
I don't know what are orange chips. They're just kind of
battered, aren't they?
Chips with like kind of little batter bits on. You can get battered scraps separately.
Oh, yeah.
I would probably like a bag of normal chips with just a
bit of scraps on.
Yeah, a few scraps. Yeah. I love scraps in chip shops around near our side.
There'll be another comment now. What are scraps? Oh God, we're all kind of making a rod for our own back here. I think it's very, very like battered. They're not like battered fish is a big coating of batter. It's not every chip is like that. It's just got bits of batter around the edges and whatever. But yeah, orange chips because they've been battered. I'm pretty sure it's just a black country thing, isn't it? I don't know why, because it's they're
chips get battered everywhere they go.
The final one from Aidan asks or says, I had a mixed grill before the match from one of the local pubs. I'd love to hear your thoughts on fried eggs. I had gammon, steak and chicken. Now for me, the fried egg and the gammon seems the logical combination, but they serve the egg on top of my steak. Surely that's not right.
Despite looking like a gammon, I'm not a gammon.
You're not a gammon man?
I'm not a gammon politically, and I'm not a gammon. Whatever the equivalent is. Colin I would rather have my egg on my steak than not have my egg and have a gammon. So
what does that mean?
Right, okay, I've got my mixed grill.
Yeah.
If the mixed grill comes, don't give me the mixed grill comes, don't give me the gammon. Okay. I don't want it.
Right, okay.
But don't take that as permission to take the egg as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Give me the egg. Now, whether it sits on the steak or whether it sits...
I'd put it in place of where the gammon was. Would make more sense.
Yeah.
Where you normally put the gammon, put the egg there.
Put your egg there, yeah.
Okay.
And what about you? Are you a gammon person?
I'm a big gammon, yeah. No, it's all right, yeah. I would say gammon and the egg. It's kind of, it's peaches and cream, isn't it? It's they go together. That's what it is.
I went to...
I wouldn't want to cut into a nice medium rare steak and have egg yolk going all over it.
No, but you are capable. Well, you could either ask the waiter to come and move it, or you could move it yourself, couldn't you?
Oh, that's true, yeah. Do I want to be fiddling around with egg when I'm about to tuck in? I don't know if I am.
You get it in a separate dish, can't you? I don't know. We went to I can't remember what the place is called. The Mailbox, like a kind of Argentinian, Brazilian, like steak restaurant yesterday. And
any egg?
There wasn't any egg actually, but it's one of the ones where you get the same colour, the same side. If you're full up, you stick it on red,
right? Okay,
and they give you a break. If you're ready to go again, you stick it on green. So my son, who can absolutely eat for England,
permanently on green,
he's just constantly on green. And I got to the stage where, because they come and carve at your table, bring everything. Really, I really recommend it. Really, really good food and good experience. But I was torn between human kindness and politeness and cardiac arrest. Because when they came and carved at your table, even when it was on red, I felt like I was letting them down, because they've got this beautifully prepared meat, and I was like, well,
while you're here, go on then.
I'm absolutely full to the rafters here, but look at his little face.
Put it on green.
He's going to be crestfallen if I don't eat that. So, but
so,
yeah,
I think there'd be a kind of level with me for there, personally, where I'll be like, they know how much I've had, and they're probably judging me for it, so I'm going to say no now. Do you know what I mean? I'd be too self-conscious. Like, if I was the guy carving it, I'd be going, Christ, he's having more. He's had 5 plates already. Come on, then you fuck. Do you know what I mean?
I got the other vibe from it. I got we prepared this for you, sir.
Okay, yeah.
Fill your
Please
face on it.
eat it. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, it was quite full on. But the problem that they get there as well is the kind of the wider buffet that they have on there as well. And I like lots of different texture. So I like kind of salads with
nuts,
anything and everything in, basically. Chickpeas, croutons, etc. So I actually probably preferred the salad rather. So I'm such a backward kind of individual that, you go to this kind of super meat restaurant and I'm just thinking, well, I can't really have that. I can't really have that bit of steak.
Croutons.
It looks delicious, but I've got a bit more coleslaw. I've got to finish off first. So.
Oh God!
But I didn't have an egg on it anyway.
How did you have your steak? How did you have it cooked normally?
However it came, I'm normally. Everybody hates me because
you're not going to say well done, are you?
Maybe in your appraisal, but
that's unlikely, isn't it?
I'm not going to say because people will judge me.
I'm already
judging
I have
you.
It with an egg on top,
with scraps.
All right, let's end it there. Thank you very much, Matt, for joining me as always. I say as always. It's not always, is it? It's only sometimes.
It feels like always. We've had a lot of home games lately.
It does actually, yeah. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Claret Blue podcast, do let us know. Get involved in the YouTube comments section. There's also a comment section on Spotify as well. Plus, there's a review system on Apple Podcasts. So if you want to leave 5 stars, that'd be much appreciated. We'll be back on Tuesday night. It won't be you, will it? Because it's an away game.
It won't.
For the post-match show for Crystal Palace. So do join us then if you can. Thanks for watching or listening, and we'll see you Tuesday.